If you look at me like that again, I'll bend you over this counter and show you exactly what happens to waitresses who tease men like me." Those were the words that shattered my carefully constructed world. I stood there, coffee pot trembling in my hand, staring at the man I'd known for 6 months as Mr. Benedetto, the kind, generous customer who always ordered black coffee and left ridiculous tips, the gentleman who asked about my day, who remembered my name, who made working double shifts at this dingy diner almost bearable. Except the man standing in front of me now, eyes dark with barely restrained hunger, voice low and threatening in a way that sent heat pooling in places it shouldn't, wasn't a gentleman at all. I don't know what you mean," I stammered, taking a step back. He moved faster than I expected, reaching across the counter to catch my wrist, thumb pressing against my racing pulse. "Yes, you do, Nia. You've been looking at me like that for months, like you want something you shouldn't want, like you're imagining things a good girl like you has no business imagining." My breath caught. The diner was empty at 3 a.m., just me and him and the fluorescent lights humming overhead. My manager had left an hour ago, trusting me to close up alone like I did every Friday night. It had always felt safe before. Now it felt dangerous. "Mr. Benedetto, I think you should leave." "My name isn't Benedetto." He released my wrist, but didn't step back, his presence overwhelming in the small space. "It's Lucian Santoro, and I think it's time you knew exactly who's been watching you, Nia." The name hit me like a physical blow. Lucian Santoro. Even someone as disconnected from Detroit's underworld as me had heard that name. The youngest son of the Santoro crime family, the enforcer. The one they called the Wolf because of how efficiently he eliminated problems. And he'd been coming to my diner every Friday night for 6 months, pretending to be a normal customer, leaving $100 tips on $10 meals, making me believe he was just a wealthy businessman who liked my coffee. "You're Mafia," I whispered. "I prefer businessman with unconventional methods, but yes." His smile was predatory, nothing like the warm expressions I'd grown used to. "And you, sweet Nia, have been driving me absolutely insane." I should have run, should have grabbed my phone and called the police, should have done anything except stand there, heart racing, body responding to the intensity in his eyes in ways that proved I was either incredibly stupid or irreversibly broken. "I haven't done anything." "You exist." He leaned further over the counter, close enough that I could smell his cologne, expensive and intoxicating. "You smile at me with that innocent face while your eyes tell me you're thinking about things that aren't innocent at all. You bite your lip when you're nervous. You lean over to refill my coffee in that uniform that shows just enough to make me want to rip it off you. You've been teasing me, Nia, whether you meant to or not. I was just being nice. That's my job. Being nice is bringing coffee with a smile. What you do is something else entirely." His voice dropped lower, intimate and dangerous. "Do you know how many times I've sat in that booth imagining what you'd look like spread out on this counter? How many nights I've gone home furious because I can't touch you, can't have you, can't do all the filthy things I want to do to you?" Heat flooded my face, my body. This was wrong, dangerous. He was a criminal, a killer, probably someone I should be terrified of, but help me. I wasn't terrified. I was electrified. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because 6 months of patience is enough. Because watching you from a distance while pretending to be someone I'm not has become torture. Because I saw the way you looked at me tonight when you thought I wasn't paying attention, and I realized you want this too." He straightened, adjusting his expensive suit jacket. "So, here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna close up this diner, get in my car, and come home with me. and I'm going to show you exactly what happens when you tease a man who's been holding himself back for half a year. That's insane. I don't even know you. You know me better than you think. The man who's been coming here, talking to you, learning everything about you, that's still me. I just left out some details about my day job. Some details? You're a criminal. I'm a lot of things. He pulled out his wallet, dropped $500 bills on the counter. But right now, I'm a man who's done being patient. Lock the door, Nia. Come with me or tell me to leave and never come back. Your choice. It was the your choice that got me, because he meant it. I could see it in his eyes. Despite the intensity, despite the obvious want, he was giving me an out. One word and he'd walk away. Leave me to my safe, boring life slinging coffee at 3 a.m. The smart choice was obvious. Tell him to leave, call the police, quit this job, and find somewhere new. Somewhere he'd never find me. But I'd never been good at smart choices. Give me 5 minutes to close up. Something blazed in his eyes. Triumph mixed with hunger, so intense it should have scared me. Instead, it made me feel powerful. This dangerous man, this wolf, wanted me badly enough to wait 6 months, badly enough to reveal himself, badly enough to risk rejection. 5 minutes, he agreed. But Nia, if you're still having doubts, lose them now. Because once we cross this line, everything changes. You need to understand what you're agreeing to. What am I agreeing to? His hand came up to cup my face, thumb stroking over my cheekbone with surprising gentleness. Me. All of me. The businessman and the criminal. The man who brings you flowers and the one who breaks bones for a living. You don't get to pick and choose, Nia. It's all or nothing. I should have chosen nothing, should have taken the out he was offering, should have been smart for once in my life. Drive, I whispered. He smiled, dark and satisfied, and pulled out of the parking lot. Detroit streets blurred past the window as we drove through neighborhoods that got progressively nicer, further from my tiny apartment in a building with broken elevators and mysterious stains in the hallway. Tell me something true, I said, needing to fill the charged silence. About you, the real you. What do you want to know? Why me? You could have anyone. Women who understand your world, who wouldn't be shocked by what you do. Why a waitress in a crappy diner? He was quiet for a moment, navigating traffic with practiced ease. Because you're real. Everyone in my world wants something. Power, money, connection, protection. They look at me and see what I can give them. You looked at me and asked if I wanted cream with my coffee. You were kind without agenda, genuine without calculation. Do you have any idea how rare that is? So this is some pretty woman fantasy. Rich criminal falls for poor waitress? No. This is me recognizing something I want and taking it. I'm not a good man, Nia. I won't pretend to be, but I'll be honest with you. I'll protect you, and I'll make damn sure you never regret getting in this car. We pulled up to a high-rise in Palmer Woods, the kind of building I'd only seen in movies. A valet appeared instantly, taking the keys without making eye contact. Lucian came around to my door, offered his hand, and led me through a lobby that screamed wealth and exclusivity. The elevator ride to the penthouse felt endless. We stood in charged silence, his hand warm on the small of my back, my heart hammering so hard I was sure he could hear it. You're nervous. I'm terrified. Good. You should be. The elevator doors opened directly into his apartment, but not of me hurting you. Never that. The penthouse was stunning. All floor-to-ceiling windows and modern furniture and artwork I'd need a museum placard to understand. But I barely noticed the decor because Lucian was looking at me like a predator who'd finally cornered his prey. "Drink?" he offered, moving to a bar that probably cost more than my car. I should probably keep a clear head. Probably. He poured himself whiskey anyway. Neat. "Are you going to stand by the elevator all night, or are you going to come here?" I forced my feet to move, crossing the expensive hardwood to where he waited by the windows, the city glittering behind him like a backdrop designed to emphasize his power. "I've imagined this so many times," he said quietly, setting down his glass. "You here, looking at me without that counter between us. Do you know what I want to do right now? Tell me. I want to kiss you until you forget your own name. I want to learn every sound you make, every place that makes you shiver. I want to ruin you for anyone else." He stepped closer, backing me against the window, the glass cold through my thin uniform. "But more than that, I want you to choose this. Choose me. Not because you're scared or intimidated or caught up in the moment, but because you want it as much as I do. I don't understand you. You're Mafia. You've probably done terrible things. Why do you care about my choice? Because you're not like the women in my world. You're not someone I can just take, just claim without consequence. You matter, Nia. And I need you to know what you're getting into before we cross this line." His hands braced on either side of my head, caging me in. "So, tell me, do you want this? Want me, even knowing what I am?"
I looked up at him. This dangerous, beautiful man who'd been my Friday night regular, who'd somehow seen past the diner uniform to something he wanted, who was giving me a choice, even though I could feel how much it cost him to wait. "Yes," I breathed. "I want this. Want you. I'm probably insane, but yes." The word barely left my lips before he was kissing me, and it wasn't gentle. It was possession and demand and 6 months of restraint finally breaking. His tongue slid against mine, his body pressing me into the glass, and I melted into him completely. When he pulled back, we were both breathing hard. Bedroom. Now. It wasn't a request. He led me through the penthouse to a bedroom that was all dark colors and masculine elegance. The bed was enormous, made up with sheets that probably had a thread count I couldn't pronounce. But I barely noticed because Lucian was looking at me like I was the only thing that mattered in the world. "Turn around," he ordered softly. I turned, facing away from him, and felt his hands on the zipper of my uniform. He pulled it down slowly, deliberately, the rasp of metal teeth loud in the quiet room. The dress fell to the floor, leaving me in just my practical cotton underwear. Nothing sexy or seductive, just what I'd thrown on for another long shift. "Beautiful," he murmured against my neck, and somehow he made even cheap cotton feel like lingerie. His hands traced my sides, my stomach, mapping my body with a reverence that made me tremble. When he turned me back around, the hunger in his eyes had deepened into something almost frightening in its intensity. "I need you to understand something," he said, voice rough. "Once I have you, once we do this, you're mine. I don't share. I don't do casual. You're either all in or we stop right now." That's a lot of pressure for a first date. This isn't a date, Nia. This is me claiming what I've wanted for 6 months. So decide, are you all in? I thought about my life, the endless shifts, the tiny apartment, the crushing student debt from 2 years of college I'd dropped out of when my mom got sick, the careful, controlled existence I'd built around making sure nothing ever went wrong, because I couldn't afford for anything to go wrong. And then I thought about this man, this dangerous, beautiful man looking at me like I was precious, offering me something wild and terrifying and completely outside my safe little world. "All in," I whispered. His smile was triumphant and tender all at once. "Thank goodness." What happened next was beyond anything I'd ever experienced. He was demanding but attentive, rough but careful, pushing me to places I didn't know existed, while making sure I felt safe enough to go there. He learned my body like he'd studied it, finding every spot that made me gasp, every touch that made me beg. And when I finally shattered in his arms, his name on my lips, I knew with absolute certainty that my life would never be the same. Afterward, lying tangled in sheets that probably cost more than my monthly rent, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on my skin, reality started creeping back in. "What happens now?" I asked quietly. "Now, you stay here. Move in. Let me take care of you." I sat up, pulling the sheet with me. "That's insane. I can't just move in with you. I've known you for 6 months, but also not at all. You're basically a stranger who happens to be a criminal." "I'm not a stranger. I know your favorite color is purple. I know you're allergic to strawberries. I know you're saving money to go back to school for nursing. I know you cry during sad commercials and laugh at terrible jokes. I know you, Nia. Just because I left out details about my work doesn't change that." "Your work. Right, your work as a what, exactly? Enforcer? Hitman? Drug dealer?" "I handle problems for my family. Sometimes that means negotiation. Sometimes it means violence. I won't lie to you about what I do." I pulled my knees to my chest, trying to process.
An hour ago, I had been pouring coffee. Now, I was naked in a mobster's bed, discussing his career in crime like it was a normal job. "I can't just quit my life and move in with you. That's not how real life works." "Why not? What's keeping you there? A job that pays minimum wage? An apartment you hate? Student debt you'll be paying off forever?" He sat up too, not bothering with the sheet, completely comfortable in his skin. "I can make all of that go away, Naya. The debt, the worry, the exhaustion. Let me take care of you. I'm not a kept woman." "No, you're my woman. There's a difference." He cupped my face, making me look at him. "I'm not trying to buy you or own you. I'm trying to give you options you've never had. Stay at the diner if you want. Go back to school. Do whatever makes you happy. But do it from here, with me, where you're safe and cared for." "Safe from what?" His expression darkened. "From my world. The moment people know you matter to me, you become a target. The only way to protect you is to keep you close." The words sent a chill through me. "So this is about protection, not actually wanting me here. Don't be stupid. I've wanted you here since the first night I walked into that diner and you smiled at me like I was worth smiling at. The protection is a bonus that comes with the territory." He kissed me softly, "But I won't force you. If you want to go back to your apartment, go back to your life, I'll take you. But I'll also have people watching you 24/7 because I'm not risking someone using you to get to me. So my choices are move in with you or be stalked by your bodyguards." Basically, yes. The insanity of it all hit me, and suddenly I was laughing, slightly hysterical. This is my life now. Dating a mobster who's giving me an ultimatum while naked in his bed. What the hell is wrong with me? "Nothing's wrong with you." He pulled me back down, tucking me against his chest. "You're just someone who took a chance on something unexpected. That's not wrong. That's brave. Or stupid. Maybe both." I felt him smile against my hair. "But you're here, and I'm not letting you go without a fight." We lay there in silence for a while, and I tried to imagine my life here, in this penthouse, with this man. It should have felt impossible. Instead, it felt strangely right. "Tell me about your family," I said, finally. "The Santoro family. What am I getting into?" He was quiet for a moment, and I felt his body tense. "My father is Franco Santoro. He runs most of the organized crime in Detroit. My older brother, Nico, handles the legitimate businesses, restaurants, construction, waste management. I handle the problems that can't be solved through legal means. And your mother? Dead. Cancer, when I was 15. After that, it was just me and Nico and our father, learning the business. His voice was flat, emotionless. I've been doing this since I was 18. 12 years of solving problems, eliminating threats, making sure the family stays strong. Have you killed people? Yes. The honesty should have sent me running. Instead, I just nodded against his chest. How many? Does it matter? I don't know. Maybe. I'm trying to understand who you are. I'm someone who does what's necessary to protect my family. Sometimes that means violence. Sometimes it means murder. I won't apologize for it, but I'll never lie to you about it either. He tilted my face up to look at him. Does that frighten you? It should have. But looking into his eyes, seeing the honesty there, I realized something important. Not as much as it should. Good. Because I need you to understand, Naya, this world I live in, it's brutal and unforgiving. People who show weakness don't survive. But with you, I can be something else. Something almost human. Don't take that away from me by running scared. The vulnerability in his voice broke something open in my chest. This dangerous man, this wolf, was asking me to stay, to see him, to accept him. I'm not running, I said quietly. Not yet, anyway. But I need time to process this, to figure out if I can really live with what you do. How much time? I don't know. Can I have until morning to decide if I'm moving in? He smiled, pressing a kiss to my forehead. You can have until morning. But fair warning, I'm very persuasive, and I have all night to convince you.
He proceeded to spend the next few hours doing exactly that, using his hands and mouth and body to make an extremely compelling argument for why I should stay. By the time the sun started rising over Detroit, I was exhausted and sore and completely convinced. Okay, I whispered as dawn light filtered through the windows. I'll stay. Try this, see if it works. His arms tightened around me. You won't regret it. I might, but I'm doing it anyway. That's all I ask. He kissed me slowly, thoroughly. Now sleep. You've had a long night, and tomorrow we have a lot to figure out. I fell asleep in his arms, in his bed, in his world. And when I woke up hours later, it was to the smell of coffee and the sound of Lucian on the phone, speaking rapid Italian, sounding every inch the dangerous man he was. Reality crashed back in. This was my life now, dating a mobster, living in a penthouse, being protected like I was something valuable, instead of just a waitress who smiled at the wrong customer. I should have been terrified, should have grabbed my clothes and run while I still could. Instead, I got up, wrapped myself in one of his shirts, and went to find coffee. Lucian looked up when I entered the kitchen, ending his call immediately. Good morning. Morning. I poured coffee from the pot he'd left on the counter, noticed it was exactly how I liked it. He'd been paying attention all those months. So, what now? Now we get your things from your apartment, set you up here properly, and then I take you shopping because you need clothes that aren't a diner uniform. I have clothes. I'm sure you do, but I want to buy you things. Humor me. This feels like Pretty Woman again. Would it help if I promise not to make you climb fire escapes? He pulled me onto his lap, and I went easily, already getting used to his casual affection. I know this is a lot, Nia.
I know it's fast and strange and probably terrifying, but I meant what I said. You're mine now. Let me take care of you. What if your family doesn't approve? What if my family will approve because I say they will? And if they don't, they'll deal with it. He tilted my face up, his expression serious. You're not some shameful secret, Nia. You're the woman I've chosen. That means something in my world. What does it mean? It means you're protected, respected, untouchable. It means anyone who hurts you answers to me personally. It means you're family now, whether they like it or not. The weight of that settled over me. Family. I'd been alone since my mom died 3 years ago. Just me and my grief and my determination to survive. The idea of belonging to something again, even something as twisted as a crime family, was both terrifying and appealing. Okay, I said. Finally, let's go get my stuff. But Lucian, if this doesn't work, if I can't handle your world, you have to let me go. Something flickered in his eyes, something dark and possessive. I'll let you go if that's what you really want, but I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure it never comes to that. We spent the day moving my few belongings from my tiny apartment to his penthouse. He sent people to handle the heavy lifting while we went shopping, and despite my protests, he bought me a wardrobe that probably cost more than I'd made in the last year. Every time I tried to object, he'd kiss me silent and tell me to pick something else. It should have felt wrong, like I was being bought. Instead, it felt like being cherished.
That evening, he took me to a restaurant I'd never heard of, the kind where there were no prices on the menu, and everyone seemed to know him. We were seated in a private room, and I was just starting to relax when 3 men walked in. 2 were clearly brothers, same dark hair, same sharp features as Lucian. The third was older, silver-haired, and radiated authority that made my skin prickle. Father! Lucian stood, and I realized with a jolt that this was Franco Santoro, the head of the family. Nico, Gianni, this is Nia Brooks. Franco's eyes swept over me with cold assessment. The waitress. My girlfriend, Lucian corrected, his voice hard. Show some respect. It's okay, I said quickly, not wanting to cause tension. I am a waitress, or I was. As of today, I guess I'm unemployed. Why? Nico asked, settling into a chair. He seemed less hostile than his father, merely curious. Because having my girlfriend work at a diner where anyone could target her is unacceptable, Lucian answered before I could. She's moving in with me, under my protection. That's moving fast, Gianni observed. He was younger, probably mid-20s, with a sardonic smile. Even for you. Nia and I have been building to this for 6 months. I'm just done waiting. Franco continued to study me, and I forced myself to meet his gaze without flinching. What's your family situation, girl? No family. My mother died 3 years ago. No siblings, no father in the picture. It's just me. Convenient, he said coldly. No one to ask questions about your sudden lifestyle change. Father! Lucian's voice carried a warning. I'm not questioning your choice, Lucian. I'm assessing the situation. This girl comes from nothing, knows nothing about our world, and you've decided to bring her into our home. I need to know she won't be a liability. She won't be, Lucian said firmly. I've explained what we are, what I do. She's accepted it. And more importantly, she's under my protection. That should be enough. Should be, Franco said, but we've seen what happens when outsiders get involved. They get scared. They go to the police. They cause problems. How do we know she won't do the same? All eyes turned to me. This was my test, I realized, my chance to prove I wasn't a threat. I won't go to the police, I said quietly but firmly, not because I'm scared of you, though I'd be stupid not to be, but because I care about Lucian, and I won't do anything to hurt him. You don't have to like me or trust me, but I need you to understand that I chose this, chose him, knowing what he is and what you all do. I'm not some naive girl who will panic at the first sign of trouble." "Pretty speech," Franco said, "but words are cheap. Loyalty is proven through action." "Then I guess I'll have to prove it." I met his eyes steadily. "But I'm not going anywhere." Something like respect flickered across his face. He turned to Lucian. "She's got spine, I'll give you that. But if she becomes a problem—" "She won't," Lucian cut him off. "And if anyone in this family treats her with anything less than complete respect, they answer to me. Are we clear?" The tension was thick enough to choke on. Finally, Franco nodded. "Clear. Welcome to the family, Nia. Try not to disappoint my son." Dinner was stilted after that conversation, carefully neutral. Nico asked about my interests.
Gianni made jokes that almost felt normal, and Franco watched everything with calculating eyes. When we finally left, I felt like I'd run a marathon. "That went well," Lucian said as we drove home. "Your father hates me. My father doesn't trust anyone. Give him time. He'll come around. And if he doesn't, then he doesn't." Lucian reached over, took my hand. "You're with me because I want you here, not because my family approves. Their opinion matters in business, but not in my personal life." We pulled into the parking garage of his building, and I was just starting to relax when Lucian suddenly tensed. "Stay in the car," he ordered, his voice completely different, hard, dangerous. "What's wrong?" "Someone's been here." He pulled a gun from somewhere I hadn't noticed, checked it with practiced efficiency. "When I tell you, you're going to run to the elevator and go straight up to the apartment. Don't look back, don't wait for me." "Just go, Lucian." "Now, Nia, go." I ran, hearing footsteps behind me, hearing Lucian shout something in Italian. The elevator doors closed just as I heard gunshots, loud and terrifying in the enclosed space. "Lucian?" The longest 30 seconds of my life passed before the elevator reached the penthouse. I stumbled out, grabbed my phone, tried to call him, no answer. Tried again, nothing. I was just about to call 911 when the elevator dinged again. I grabbed a kitchen knife, hand shaking, ready to defend myself against whomever. Lucian stepped out, blood on his shirt, gun still in his hand. He was limping. "You're hurt." I dropped the knife, rushing to him. "I'm fine. It's not my blood." But he was pale, breathing hard. "They're gone. Rivals trying to send a message. Bruno is cleaning up." "You're not fine. You're bleeding, Nia." "I'm fine." He caught my hands, stilling them. "This is what I meant about my world being dangerous. This is why you need to stay close, stay protected. They were after me, but they could have targeted you instead." The reality of it hit me like a truck. This wasn't theoretical danger. This wasn't some abstract concept. People had just tried to kill him. Could have killed me. "Maybe I should go," I whispered. "Maybe being with you is too dangerous." "No." His hands tightened on mine. "You're not leaving. You're staying here where it's safe, where I can protect you. That's not negotiable." "You can't just decide." "I can, and I am." He pulled me close, despite the blood, despite everything. "I told you this morning, you're mine. That means I protect you, even if you're too scared to let me." I should have fought, should have demanded my independence, should have run from this man and his violent world. Instead, I clung to him, breathing in his scent beneath the copper smell of blood, feeling his heartbeat strong and steady against mine. "This is insane," I whispered into his chest. "I know, but you're still here, and that means more to me than you'll ever know." We stood like that for a long time, the city glittering beyond the windows, the danger still fresh and terrifying. And I realized something crucial. I wasn't leaving. Despite the fear, despite the danger, despite every logical reason to run, I was staying. Because somewhere in the last 24 hours, This dangerous man had become mine too, and I'd be damned if I let him face his world alone. The next few weeks were a crash course in Mob Life 101. I learned that Lucian's business meetings often ended with blood. I learned that certain names were never to be mentioned. I learned to recognize the signs when trouble was coming, the way he'd get quiet, the way his hand would drift toward his gun. I also learned softer things, the way he made coffee exactly how I liked it every morning, the way he'd come home after terrible nights and just hold me like I was the only thing keeping him human, the way he looked at me sometimes like I was precious and breakable and worth protecting. We fell into a routine. I enrolled in online nursing classes, studying, while he handled business. He'd come home and quiz me on anatomy, making inappropriate jokes that always made me laugh. We'd cook dinner together, or rather, I'd cook while he distracted me with his hands and mouth until we ended up ordering takeout. It was domestic and weird and nothing I'd ever imagined for myself.
And I was happier than I'd been in years. But happiness in Lucian's world always came with a price. I was leaving class one afternoon when a car pulled up beside me. Not Lucian's, not Bruno's. Unknown. "Get in," a voice said from inside. "I don't think so." "It wasn't a request, Miss Brooks. Mr. Ricci would like to speak with you." Ricci, the rival family. The ones who tried to kill Lucian in the parking garage. Fear spiked through me, but I forced myself to stay calm. "I don't know any Mr. Ricci, and I'm not going anywhere with strangers. You can get in voluntarily, or we can force you. Either way, you're coming with us." I looked around, busy street, but no one paying attention. No help coming. And my phone was in my bag, but these men would stop me before I could call Lucian. I got in the car. They drove me to a warehouse on the east side, the kind of place where bad things happened in movies. Fear made my throat tight, but I refused to show it. Lucian had taught me that. Never show fear, never let them see weakness. Inside, a man in an expensive suit waited, older, maybe 50, with cold eyes and a cruel smile. "Miss Brooks, thank you for joining me. I'm Carlo Ricci." I didn't have much choice. "No, you didn't." He gestured to a chair. "Please, sit. We have things to discuss." I sat, keeping my spine straight, my expression neutral. "What do you want?" "Information about Lucian Santoro, his operations, his weaknesses, his plans." "I don't know anything about his business. I'm just his girlfriend." "Just his girlfriend?" Carlo laughed. "Lucian Santoro doesn't do just anything. He's obsessed with you, Miss Brooks, which makes you valuable, either as an information source or as a leverage." "I'm not helping you. You say that now, but everyone has a breaking point." He nodded to one of his men who pulled out a knife. My heart raced, but I forced myself to stay calm. Lucian would come. He'd find me. I just had to survive until then. "Hurt me, and you'll have Lucian hunting you to the ends of the earth," I said, with more confidence than I felt. "Perhaps. But the question is, will you survive long enough for him to find you?" Carlo leaned forward. "Tell me what I want to know, and this ends quickly. Stay silent, and my associate here will make it very unpleasant." The man with the knife moved closer, and I closed my eyes, preparing for pain. The warehouse door exploded inward. Lucian stormed in with at least 10 men, all armed, all looking ready for war. His eyes found mine, and the relief on his face lasted exactly 1 second before rage replaced it. "Step away from her now." His voice was death itself. Carlo smiled, unconcerned. "Lucian, right on time. I was just getting to know your lovely girlfriend." "I'm going to kill you," Lucian said, conversationally, slowly, painfully. "But first, you're going to let her go." "Or what? You'll start a war?" "The war started when you touched what's mine." Lucian raised his gun, aiming at Carlo's head. Last chance, let her go. What happened next was chaos. Gunfire, shouting. I dove under the chair, covering my head, trying to make myself small. The fight lasted maybe 2 minutes, but felt like hours. When silence finally fell, Lucian was there, pulling me up, checking me for injuries with shaking hands. Are you hurt? Did they touch you? Nia, answer me. I'm fine. Scared, but fine. I threw my arms around him and he held me so tight I could barely breathe. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have had better security on you.
This is my fault. Stop. I pulled back to look at him. I'm okay. You found me. It's okay. It's not okay. He cupped my face and I saw something break in his eyes. This is what I was afraid of. This is why I wanted you close. They'll use you to get to me, Nia. They'll hurt you to hurt me, and I can't. His voice cracked. I can't lose you. You won't. I pressed my forehead to his. I'm tougher than I look, and I'm not going anywhere. You should. You should run far from me and never look back. Too late for that. I kissed him softly. I'm all in, remember? Even when it's terrifying, even when people kidnap me, I'm all in. He kissed me back desperately, like I was oxygen and he'd been drowning. When we finally pulled apart, I noticed Carlos' body on the floor. Very dead. Is he? Yes. And so is anyone else who thought they could touch you. Lucian's voice was cold. Final, Bruno. Clean this up. I'm taking Nia home. Home. Not his apartment. Home. Because somehow in the weeks we'd been together, his penthouse had become my home too. The ride back was silent, Lucian's hand gripping mine like he was afraid I'd disappear. When we got to the apartment, he pulled me straight to the bedroom, stripped off my clothes with shaking hands, and just held me under the hot spray of the shower until we both stopped trembling. I'm sorry, he kept saying. I'm so sorry. Stop apologizing. This is who you are, what your world is. I knew that when I chose this. You shouldn't have to live in fear. Everyone lives in fear of something. I turned in his arms to face him. At least with you, I know the fear is worth it. Something in his expression cracked open, became vulnerable in a way I'd never seen. I love you. The words came out rough, unpracticed. I've never said that to anyone except my mother. But I love you, Nia, more than anything, more than is probably safe for either of us. Tears burned my eyes. I love you too, even though you're violent and dangerous and probably going to get me killed someday. Not if I can help it, he kissed me tenderly. I swear to you, Nia, I will keep you safe, whatever it takes. I know, and I did know. This man would burn the world for me, would kill anyone who threatened me, would do terrible things to keep me safe. And somehow, that didn't scare me anymore. We made love under the water, slow and desperate and full of emotion neither of us had words for. And afterward, wrapped in towels and each other, I finally felt safe again. I want you to learn to shoot, Lucian said suddenly. What, a gun? I want you to know how to protect yourself when I'm not there.
He ran his fingers through my wet hair. I can't always be with you, Nia, but I can make sure you're never helpless. Okay. I didn't hesitate. Teach me. So he did. Over the next month, I learned to handle a weapon, to shoot with decent accuracy, to be aware of my surroundings. I learned which of his men were there to protect me and which to avoid. I learned to recognize trouble before it arrived. I became part of his world in ways I never imagined, and somehow it fit. 6 months after that first explosive night, Lucian took me back to the diner where we'd met. It was closed, dark, but he had keys now. Owned the building, he told me casually. Why are we here? I asked as he led me inside. Because this is where I first saw you, where I fell for a waitress who smiled at me like I was worth smiling at. He pulled me to the counter where we'd had that first explosive conversation. And because I have a question to ask. He dropped to one knee, pulling out a box with a ring that probably cost more than the entire building. "Nia Brooks, you are the best and worst thing that ever happened to me. You make me want to be better while accepting me at my worst. You're brave and stubborn and refuse to run even when you should. Will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life keeping you safe and driving you crazy?" I should have hesitated. Should have thought about the danger, the violence, the complicated life I'd be signing up for permanently. Instead, I dropped to my knees in front of him and kissed him hard. "Yes, yes, you insane criminal. I'll marry you." His smile was pure joy, transforming his face into something beautiful. He slipped the ring on my finger, and it fit perfectly because, of course, he'd known my size, known everything about me, even when I'd thought he was just a kind customer. "I can't promise you a normal life," he said. "Seriously, I can't promise you safety or peace or anything conventional." "I don't want conventional." I kissed him again. "I just want you. All of you. The gentleman and the wolf. The businessman and the killer. All of it. Then you'll have it." He stood, pulling me with him. "For better or worse, in danger and in safety, you're mine now, Nia. Forever." "Forever," I agreed. And standing there in that dingy diner where everything had started, I know I'd made the right choice. Maybe it was dangerous. Maybe it was insane. Maybe we'd both end up dead because of the life he led. But we'd face it together, the waitress and the mobster. The girl who wanted safety and the man who could never provide it. The most unlikely love story ever told. And somehow it was perfect. We got married 3 months later in a ceremony that was half legitimate guests and half criminals in expensive suits. My side of the church was embarrassingly empty. No family. Just a few friends from nursing school who had no idea who they were celebrating with. Lucian's side was packed. Franco sat in the front row, looking almost proud. Nico and Gianni stood as groomsmen, and scattered throughout were men I recognized from Lucian's business. All armed, all watching, all there to ensure nothing disrupted this day.
As I walked down the aisle alone, no father to give me away, just me choosing this path myself, I caught Lucian's eyes.
The look on his face made every risk, every danger, every terrifying moment worth it. He looked at me like I was everything. "You're beautiful," he whispered when I reached him. "And you're sure about this?" "Too late for doubts now," I whispered back. "You're stuck with me." Thank goodness. He took my hands and we faced the priest together. The vows were traditional, but the promises beneath them were anything but. To love and cherish became to love and protect. In sickness and health became through danger and violence. Till death do us part took on new meaning. When death was an occupational hazard. But when Lucian slid the ring on my finger and kissed me like I was his salvation, none of that mattered. I was his, he was mine, and whatever came next, we'd face it together. The reception was lavish and slightly terrifying. I danced with men who'd killed people, made small talk with women who ran money laundering operations, smiled and played the part of the perfect mob wife. But when Lucian pulled me onto the dance floor for our first dance as husband and wife, everything else faded away. "Happy," he murmured against my ear. Terrified, but happy. I rested my head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "This is insane." "You keep saying that, and you keep staying anyway." "I know. What's wrong with me?" "Nothing." He tilted my face up to look at him. "You're just someone who's brave enough to love a monster." "You're not a monster." I kissed him softly. "You're just a man who does monstrous things. There's a difference." "Is there?" "To me, there is." And I meant it. I'd seen both sides of him now, the killer and the protector, the enforcer and the man who brought me coffee every morning, all the contradictions that made him who he was, and I loved all of it. We left the reception early, both of us eager to be alone. In the car, Lucian pulled me onto his lap, kissing me like he'd been starving for it. "My wife,"
he said against my lips. Mine forever. Yours forever, I agreed. And as we drove through Detroit, toward our home, toward our life together, I thought about that first night when he looked at me with dark eyes and told me he'd make me regret it if I teased him again. I'd teased him anyway. And here we are, married, committed, all in. Maybe I should have regretted it. Regretted the danger, the violence, the complicated life I'd chosen. But looking at Lucian, seeing the love and possessiveness in his eyes, feeling the weight of my wedding ring on my finger, I couldn't find any regret. Just gratitude that I'd been brave enough to get in his car that first night, brave enough to choose danger over safety, brave enough to love a wolf. And as he carried me over the threshold of our home, kissing me like I was precious and perfect and his, I knew with absolute certainty I'd made the right choice.